Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So for today's video, I am drawing Tamon from Tamon's B-Side anime. It's a fairly new anime. There was a manga before it, but I never read the manga. I just ran into it. I'm not even sure if it was, I think it might have been Instagram or something that I saw somebody make a post about it, and that's how I found out. Basically, kind of really entertaining J-pop idol and fan culture thing, but like in an interesting way, seeing the other side of the idols' characters, like I guess you could say their real personalities kind of thing, which is really, really interesting. Of course, because it's an anime, there's like a lot of like unhingedness to it, so I'm really enjoying that part. Anyway, I am once again drawing, or starting off and nearly completing this entire drawing on my iPad, and using Procreate, of course. Now, I realized way further in, I probably could have also, to add interest, drawn more, like, still drawing on the iPad, but recorded myself doing so, like, IRL. And so I do have a few clips of that, but when I was doing it, I realized maybe I'm not really sure if I'd want to do like a full video of recording myself drawing on the iPad, because oh boy, you don't really see it here at all when you're watching the time-lapse itself. But I struggle quite a bit. You'll see when it gets to the footage, and I'll actually talk about the details of what it is. I think it's just like the lack of the touch cancellation or something when the pen is on the screen. It might be because I have an iPad mini, it's like limiting, even though I think it's supposed to have that setting. As per usual for my videos, I have to go on a little bitty rant on something, and this time it does feel related to this artwork in particular. Like Tamon, I feel like I'm split into two because I'm working on art convention stuff at the same time, while also simultaneously applying to graphic design jobs, which for the most part are corpo jobs. I'm not saying I've had a bad time or never felt inspired or creative while working on graphic design projects themselves, just because they're like corporate working 9-to-5 office. But at the same time, it does feel very separate from all the stuff that I kind of like drawing and art stuff and, you know, related to my hobbies. There's not that much of a natural flow because there isn't any real connection with a lot of cute stuff that's in relation to a lot of companies that exist in North America specifically. Versus like in Asia, like when I was in Japan, everything had a mascot, even benign, boring things like construction, police, transit, and there was just like basically an anime mascot for everything. But the point I really just wanted to get across is I just wish even the less exciting graphic design jobs here, which, you know, are kind of anyway needed, were more fun and whimsical, you know, allowed people to be a little more creative, because it does feel like sometimes it goes into the more dull and sterile path. And I know this is also like subjective too, so maybe perhaps you really like it when it's like simple and don't like all the fun stuff, but I feel like there's so much of it, so, you know, especially spending all of winter, I just want my cute stuff. Okay, and now here's the impromptu footage of me drawing on the iPad. Well, the just IRL version of me drawing on the iPad. It was on the iPad the entire time, sorry. And time lapses are so much faster, so it's like very jarring, but I thought it was like kind of fun to include just to show off how yeah, see right there, because my left hand is just like automatically my fingers like touch the screen and I mess up, and it's a very typical thing. I think maybe because I was so focused because I was recording myself, I did a much better job with a lasso tool. Otherwise, I usually screw that up with my left hand, or like my palm will like just make like a screw it all up and I have to start over. Also, apologies for the angle. Since it was impromptu, I literally am recording myself with my right hand while I'm doing this. But yeah, here you can actually see that I'm using the lasso tool and like certain tools that I'm using to actually color in for the hair and shadows is usually typically what I often like to use the lasso tool for. Now, I was really fascinated by this concept even before watching Tamon's B-side, because there was a lot of YouTubers who always like talked about this sort of thing about like the parasocialism and how people don't really get that the person like you're watching does, you know, they're not showing all 100% of themselves, they just can't, sort of thing, which is fair. It's like you want to kind of put your best self forward on in front of a camera. And so when I saw like conversations about that and people like, figuring that out about like K-pop or whatever, because I was like going down that rabbit hole, I was like not even remotely surprised. I'm like, yeah, you can't really do that. You don't really want to like put any of maybe your worst aspects, and that doesn't mean you're like an evil demon or you kick puppies in your like you know, spare time or something when the camera's not on you. Or one example I did hear a YouTuber specifically say is just like in their regular lives they swear like a sailor versus what it kind of portrayed on camera, which kind of makes sense also for a YouTuber or anything on TV as well. You don't really want to do that, but there's so many do's and don'ts, and sometimes they go into vast extremes, and then because of all these extreme do's and don'ts, they kind of affect what kind of personality you portray on the camera, essentially. I mean, we can always go into that discussion to so much depth, but I don't want to bore people with it if they just came to watch a little bit of like a time lapse and hear an artist rant or something. But I really wanted to draw like the concept of mirror reflections and sort of like which reflection is real sort of thing, and how much it's impacting the real you, putting out like a fake you essentially, or a more exaggerated self or something, you know, all the things that you're changing about your internal self versus your external self kind of thing. And also I really wanted to draw a mirror. Broken mirrors are fun to draw. So there are a little bit of shallow bits as well for myself. I'm not that deep. Also, I'm saying more deep things about the actual concept more because I didn't really struggle drawing this piece, to be honest. So that's kind of why I really got into that so much. Also, I was so excited to add the chromatic aberration effect in that you can in Procreate. I felt like it really worked for this piece. I don't normally like to abuse that one so much because it doesn't always really work with a lot of my artworks, but this one in particular, I knew it was going to work for the mirror edges. And if you've gotten this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. I hope you can drop a like and also subscribe if you want to hear me ramble on more. See you on the next one.